All right, let's go
All right.
live to Paris, France. From Portland, Oregon to Paris, France. Our good friend Andrew Greif is covering the Olympics for GQ, NBC News. He's doing a great job over there. We got some good pieces up. Profile piece on Noah Lyles he wrote in July, and he covered the 100-meter race, which was crazy. He's on Twitter at Andrew Greif. Andrew, good to have you back on. Good morning or good afternoon, good evening. I forget the time zone difference here, but thank you for hopping on with us in Portland. Did you think that
That's better.
did you did you think that Jamaican runner won the race like we did in real time?
Well, Noah Lyles thought that Kashane Thompson won in real time. He walked up to Kashane Thompson after the final, after crossed the finish line, and said, "I think you got that one, big dog." And Thompson said, "I don't know," to him. And then they popped up. Took 28 seconds. Felt like a lifetime, I'm sure. But it was obviously Lyles' race. Just an amazing thing. When I told Lyles after in the interview area afterward, I was the one who informed him. I said, "You had the slowest reaction time, and you were 7th out of 8 with 50 meters to go. How did you beat them?" And he said, "I just believe in myself." And that's always the Noah Lyles I've known.
That's a remarkable stat, too, to be that far behind, that far into the race. What was the atmosphere like? I've just because the strangers, you mentioned it taking 30 seconds. It felt like a lifetime on TV, and the broadcasters called the wrong winner initially, and I thought that the Jamaican won as well. Like, what was the atmosphere like as everybody was waiting to find out?
Yeah, I mean, the 100-meter final, my first one, this is my first time covering the Olympics. And so, I've heard lots of things about what it's like, and especially the men's 100 final. It's a glamour event. And what people tell you who've done this before, it's true. It goes from kind of a rave-type atmosphere in this 77,000-seat stadium, completely sold out. They have a light show going as the guys get in the blocks. And then right before the start, it gets pin drop quiet. You've never heard a stadium that quiet in your life. Gun goes off, it goes crazy, and then it kind of got quiet again, right? When the photo finished, it pops up, there's a photo finish on the scoreboard. Everyone's just waiting around. Noah was surprised that his name popped up because he wasn't expecting it to take that long. So it just went from a matter of crazy quiet to obviously the burst of noise, the wall of noise, to this uncertainty zone, and then just kind of became a party once again. Noah was, as you can imagine, wired for the next 30 minutes that he spent with us, and it was quite the atmosphere.
Yeah, we're talking with Andrew Greif live in Paris here. He's covering the Olympics, as he mentioned, for the first time. Look, he is a product of track athletes, and you wrote a really good profile in GQ about him, and it's a very interesting dive into the mental health side of this, his family support, his kind of team support. He's a younger athlete. I mean, he was only in high school 8 years ago. Here he is. He's braggadocious. He's telling NBA players they're not technically world champions, and so there's like this weird pocket of people that are kind of seeing to see if he's going to fail in his face and not be a world champion. He wins the 100 meters. What's it been like covering him? And when you wrote this profile piece, what have you learned about Noah Lyles as an athlete?
Well, I mean, he's a guy who is a showman at heart. He's a little bit of a contradiction at heart. He's a guy who, like I said, loves a crowd. That's why one of the reasons why he felt so out of touch in Tokyo at those Olympics. There was an empty stadium. He was already nursing an injury. His mental health wasn't in a good place, and sort of the inability to connect with fans really threw him there. So to have the biggest crowd of his life, the loudest crowd of his life tonight, that obviously was a stage that he wanted to perform on. But he's a guy, so he loves that environment. But he's also someone who had told me in that profile that he really needs alone time. To, sometimes he's high wattage. He wants to be an extrovert, but then he really gets introverted. And so finding that balance of the ways he can set himself up in the best position for success has been really a 3-year journey ever since he had all that depression and disappointment in the Tokyo Olympics. Safe to say he's figured it out now.
I'm curious to ask you, Andrew, you mentioned first time you've covered an Olympics. I probably will never have the chance to go. I know it's coming to the States in LA in 4 years, but probably not going to be there if I'm being honest. I'm just curious your thoughts following the Olympics your entire life, I'm assuming, and just what has surprised you? What has lived up to the hype? Have there been any disappointments? Just what's it been like over in Paris?
I mean, it being my first time, everything is new, and I've been really pleasantly surprised in a good way that the transportation to and from venues, which is something that people who cover this type of event always say is like the worst thing because, the buses that carry media to and from venues can always sound like they're getting delayed or backed up or off schedule. They're never on time. I've heard that for years from people who've done this for a long time. And I feel like this one has been wonderful. The organizers provided journalists with free Metro pass. So I just take the subway every day around Paris, and it's really convenient. Trains run extremely, every 5 minutes in some cases. So that was my biggest concern, just getting around. It's been really wonderful. People in the city have been excellent to deal with. I mean, I speak I don't even know how to say I speak a little French. I speak that little French. But they have been so welcoming. I go every day to my neighborhood boulangerie, get a sandwich. So the city's been warm. The venues are incredible. It's just beautiful. The Eiffel Tower Beach Volleyball Stadium was the first place I went. And, I think it's a really high bar for L.A. to follow.
What is next for you? The 200 meters is coming up. Noah seemed from some quotes I saw, seems very confident in his ability to win that event. What is next for you in terms of what you're covering? It seems like you go to event to event. You mentioned the volleyball, covering track and field. Like, what is next for Andrew Greif in Paris?
I am essentially, if they allowed me to sleep in the Stade de France where track is, I would take them up on it because that's how often I'm here. So I'm just tethered to track and field. I'll be writing off the men's 200 and the women's 400-meter hurdles, which might be the signature event besides the men's 100 of this entire track program. Sydney McLaughlin, Femke Bol from the Netherlands. That's kind of the two next stories I'm doing for NBC News in a couple of days from now. But you'll see my name pop up in the Oregonian from time to time. I've got another one in the chamber for them in a couple days off the men's 1500. So really glad to be out here and sort of writing about track, which, I obviously have known best from my background. But it's a pretty unique experience, and I'm glad I hustled to get out here.
What time is it there right now?
It is 3:44. You are 9 hours behind on the West Coast.
Okay, 9 hours. That's what I thought it was. I want to get you out of here because we appreciate the time. I know you're super busy. Any opportunity, any window for you to get some hoops? I know you're also a hoops guy, so is there any opportunity for you to get whether men's or women's hoops action?
The hoops is relocated from the north of France and Lille, about 2-hour train ride away, to Paris now for the knockout round. So there is going to be a slower day here for track and field, and I do want to make my way over. I won't necessarily be covering it, but, if I can see Nicholas Batum, who I got to know a little bit on the Clippers beat, and Ty Lue, that'd be great. So I was talking to him about this Olympics with Batum for, more than a year when he was on the Clippers, and how excited we were to be here. So it would be nice to connect with him. And I hope I can make my way over there.
Well, I'm happy for you, man. Seriously, you're doing great work over there for NBC News. You mentioned the Oregonian and OregonLive.com. Glad to see you over there having like a lifetime memory covering the Olympics, track and field. Give him a follow on Twitter at Andrew Greif. He's joining us live in Paris. Andrew, pick up some French, continued success, and enjoy the rest of the track and field events.
My friends, merci.
There we go. Andrew Greif live in Paris covering track and field for multiple outlets. And I was happy. We've had him on several times, both to cover Oregon football.
Yeah, back in the day.
Little basketball even before that. And then most recently the Clippers. And then the LA Times just made all these cuts. And I'm like, what a stupid decision that is. He's the best guy on that beat. But happy for him. He's over there in Paris covering track and field.
I will say, too, the addition of the Paris ambulance or sirens in the background, that's maybe as authentic of interview as we have ever done.
It was spot on. And it threw me off in the beginning because I've heard his voice a million times. I thought it was him.
It sounded like a female was jumping on the phone or something. I'm like, what is this?
Oh, he was in a crowd. There
were people talking around him and stuff. Yeah. It threw me off a little bit. But the sirens in the background, that was great. That was authentic, straight from France.